Sony has always innovated in the realm of personal audio, kicking things off with the Walkman, where it revolutionized the way people listen to music. Today we look at one of their much talked about recent creations, the IER-Z1R. And with that, welcome to the Supercharge Show. The IER-Z1R, I'm just going to call it the Z1R for short because it refers to this IEM. I know that there is another Z1R around, also by Sony, to add to its confusion. That is the NBR-Z1R, which are like large cans, and we're not talking about that today. Now this Z1R is the latest top-of-the-line hybrid flagship monitor from Sony. So earlier I mentioned that the Z1R is a hybrid earphone. Honestly, the way Sony configured the drivers is done quite differently from how other manufacturers have done it. They actually use a 12mm magnesium dome driver that has their proprietary liquid crystal polymer diaphragm to handle the bass and mid-range of the Z1R. This is the same liquid crystal polymer technology that creates the evergreen Sony EX1000. I actually reviewed the EX1000 some time back. You can check out the video link in the comments below and I'll just link you right to it. It is quite an interesting IEM and I think it's still really relevant today. Other manufacturers often choose to use a dynamic driver for the bass and opt for balanced armature for mid-range, but Sony chose to do this quite differently. We'll explore how this affects sound when we talk about sound. Now, Treble is handled by their proprietary balanced armature, which gives the sparkle of this IEM, but Sony did not stop there. They even included a 5mm dynamic driver that has a special aluminum coated liquid crystal polymer diaphragm, and this speaker is good up to 100 kHz, way beyond normal human listening frequencies. Now let's talk about build of the Z1R. The Z1R features a zirconium alloy chassis which feels really solid. It has nice swirly patterns on the faceplate that has many small little circles on it. I think they look incredibly pretty and the chassis feels incredibly solid in the hand. They are very well made, and the only place where I can see that it is split into two parts is this front faceplate. You can just, I think that's how they made it anyway, so you can actually just open this and the driver should be inside. And yeah, it's really solid in hand. It also features a MMCX connector which allows you to swap cables should they break or should you get bored with the sound. But there's one thing to note is that there's a strap that covers part of the MMCX. So if you're using wider male pins, it could be a problem because this thing sits flush with the stock cable. If you're using third-party cables and should they be a bit wider, they might not be able to fit. This loaner unit that I have on hand comes with a 4.4mm stock cable from Sony, and honestly this cable is very well made. I really like how pliable it is and it really doesn't get tangled up all that much. So it's really quite a quality cable. Now next we're going to talk about fit. Fit is where the Z1R and myself don't really get along very well. The chassis of the Z1R is actually rather big and thicker than pretty much all other IEMs that I have tried so far, but that really isn't the issue. For me, they managed to fit into my ears just fine. My real issue with the Z1R comes with the back of the MMC external that is shape presses onto the part of my ear while I'm listening. This isn't an issue should you use it for short listening sessions, but when I use them longer, they dig into my ear and you definitely feel that. I mean, I think they fit smaller ears better as this thing would, just stick out your ear and wouldn't really touch anything, but my ears are a little bit elephant-like, so they do touch part of my ear and it's not the best feeling. The sound. Let's start off with bass, right? With regards to the bass, the Z1R has an emphasis on sub-bass with a slight dip when it comes to mid-bass. Does this mean that the Z1R sounds are natural? No, not at all. It's actually quite natural and very balanced sounding. The Z1R sounds very organic with a lifelike decay with regards to bass frequencies. Bass texture is also a highlight of the Z1R. You can really differentiate the different bass instruments in the music well with the Z1R. With classical music, the difference between the double bass and tubas is very obvious. With pop, you get amazing details between the electric bass as well as the bass drum on the drum kit. Next, moving on to mid-range. Earlier I mentioned that Sony has an interesting implementation when it comes to their hybrid earphones. The Z1R is no exception. It uses the same 12mm magnesium dome liquid crystal polymer diaphragm for the mid-range. I feel that this is an excellent solution for them to maintain great cohesiveness. There is a very slight dip when it comes to the mid-range compared to the bass. The Z1R has a very subtle V-shaped tuning. Tonality, this is beautifully transparent without being overly thin sounding. There is a very nice thickness pertaining to vocals, yet having a nice openness when it comes to the tone. Mid-range sounds lively and exciting. Next, we're going to move on to treble. Treble is always a little tricky to get right, especially when you want an exciting sounding earphone. There is a need for treble to be a bit more obvious, but having an elevated treble can also be a little bit fatiguing, a real catch-22. But I'm glad to say that the Sony's combination of a BA tweeter and a DD super tweeter manages to craft an open and airy top end that delivers on impressive levels of sparkle without sounding harsh. It is actually rather smooth and has good detail. And also the best part between these two drivers is that they produce treble in a very effortless and free way. So there is no harshness when it comes to treble. Some people are asking, what's the point of having a DD super tweeter? It performs at levels, at frequencies beyond human hearing anyway. But I do find that they add a sense of air and space in music. Of course, this only happens when you have good quality music, whether the music is recorded in FLAC or in DSD, where the frequency range extends beyond the usual 20k hertz cutoff. When it comes to poorly recorded music, for music that actually has detail in such upper frequencies, it is really quite apparent. You get the airiness that is usually not possible without such tweakers. Now, with regard to soundstage, the too long don't read of it is that the Z1R has an impressive soundstage. Let's start with the width and height. Width and height of the Z1R stands toe-to-toe with what the best of the best IEMs are capable of producing. Listening to binaural recordings such as the barber haircut on YouTube gives a seamless 3D rendering. I would say that this is likened that to a very large concert hall whereby it expands really wide and is really tall as well. Now, with regards to depth too is also excellent. The fast clean bass with a nice decay allows the Z1R to have a transparent tonality, allowing you to perceive depth effortlessly. Positioning wise, it is also very natural and you can definitely tell where the instruments are located. It's truly flagship class. I mean, lesser earphones will not give you such good positioning information, but this, you get pinpoint accuracy on where they are located. Just some final thoughts of it. At the end of it, the Z1R is an amazing IEM. Sony did what they know how to do best and had an awesome dynamic driver implementation that is elevated with a BA tweeter and a DD super tweeter, adding only to the high end, which results in an extremely cohesive and natural sounding earphone. So I know I'm spewing a lot of superlatives when it comes to sound with the Sony's IER-Z1R, but there is a catch to this. The IER-Z1R is very, very pricey. There is just no way of going around it, but it actually offers a lot when it comes to sound. If you're a fan of the EX1000, the Z1R has a familiar openness with even higher levels of resolution and a more refined tone. This could be the next earphone to define Sony's presence in the audiophile game. For me, the fit over long listening hours is an issue, but this differs from person to person. If you're looking to get one, please try them on for maybe a good 10 minutes or 15 minutes if possible and see whether they hurt your ears or not. For me, they do, so please try it before you actually purchase it. And with that, if you like the content so far, please like and subscribe and press the bell icon below. If you have any questions, please kindly ask in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them and respond them as soon as I can. I hope to see you guys next week. And with that, this is the Super Chonk Show. Thank you very much and I hope to see you guys very, very soon.